When you think about a moment that changes a sport, you usually think of, I don't know, a legendary athlete or some dominant team.
Right.
But sometimes a single event, a single race, doesn't just create a winner. It completely changes the entire relationship between the fans and the game itself.
And that is exactly what our sources point to for this deep dive. We're going back to Japan in 1990, to the story of a horse named Ines Fujin.
The winner of the 57th Japanese Derby.
Exactly. And this wasn't just another horse race. This was a cultural earthquake. The real question we're trying to answer is, what were the specific ingredients that came together on that one day to turn Japanese horse racing from, a pretty solitary gambling activity into this massive, passionate spectator sport?
So our mission for you is to really get the convergence of all these high-stakes elements. You have this unlikely champion, you have the gut-wrenching redemption story of his jockey, and you have this unbelievable, record-breaking crowd. We're looking for that exact moment the switch flipped.
Yeah, the moment racing became about heroes. And what's so fascinating is that the memory of Ines Fujin isn't just about his speed, it's tied to a sound.
The Nakano call.
The Nakano call. The fans chanting the jockey's name, not the horses. That single act set this huge precedent for celebrating the athletes, both human and equine, as real sports figures, not just, numbers on a betting slip.
Okay, so let's set the stage. Let's meet the key players here. First, the horse. Ines Fujin, born in 1987.
His pedigree was solid Seahawk out of Tesco Pearl, but that wasn't what made him stand out. It was his sheer physical presence.
He was huge. Yeah.
He was massive. The stories from the stables are all about his enormous, almost unbelievable appetite. When he debuted, he weighed over 500 kilograms. For anyone who follows the sport, that's a really imposing, powerful figure on the track, built for stamina.
So you have this hulking, powerful horse, and then you pair him with his jockey, Eiji Nakano. And the contrast there is, well, it's pretty interesting.
It really is. Nakano was known for having this beautiful, almost classical riding style. Just gorgeous to watch in the saddle.
But he didn't have the big wins to back it up. He was, for lack of a better term, kind of stuck in a rut.
Stuck in a rut might be putting it mildly. The sources show Nakano was dealing with some really significant personal and professional problems.
Yeah, he was constantly battling his weight just to stay eligible to ride.
And that was compounded by a pretty major public scandal. There was a drunk driving incident that just, left his reputation in tatters.
Which, in the world of professional racing, that's almost a death sentence. It's a tight-knit community, and that kind of thing means the good trainers, the good owners, they just stopped calling. He was really struggling.
And that's what makes the role of the trainer, Shuho Kato, so important to this whole story. Because when everyone else was ready to just discard Nakano, Kato stayed loyal. He believed in the guy's talent, despite all the noise, and he entrusted him with this really promising colt.
If he'd gone with a bigger name jockey, this whole story just...
Yeah.
It never happens.
The redemption arc is gone. The cultural shift is gone. It all hinged on that one decision.
And that belief, it paid off almost immediately. Ines Fujin debuts in September of his 2-year-old season. They took their time with him. He ran second twice before he won his first race.
Right. They weren't rushing him. But then came the moment that made everyone sit up and take notice. The Asahi High Sansai Stakes. A very important race.
And he didn't just win.
No. He won, and he ran a time that equaled the record set by the legendary Mario Uzensky.
Wow.
Yeah. In that one performance, he went from being a good colt to a serious contender for the classics the next year.
So he rolls into his 3-year-old season with all this momentum. He wins the G3 Kyoto News Cup. He runs a solid 4th in the Yayoi Show. He's clearly in form. But now comes the real test.
The Japanese Triple Crown. And for anyone who might not follow it closely, that's the Satsuki Show, the Derby, and the Kika Show. Winning even one is career-defining.
And that first leg, the Satsuki Show, it turned out to be their first big roadblock.
It really did. It was a failure of execution, and it all started with a terrible break from the gate.
So you got a bad start.
A horrible start. Ines Fujin was slow out of there, and Nakano's whole race plan just went out the window. He was forced to push this big horse straight to the front, which was not the plan at all.
And in a 2,000-meter race, that's just burning your energy way too early.
Way too early. But he ran with so much heart. I mean, he led deep into the final stretch.
But he just couldn't hold on.
The early effort caught up to him. He was caught right at the wire by Haku Taisei, finished second. a heartbreaking loss.
And this is where that pressure must have just hit Nakano like a ton of bricks. You finish second in the first jewel of the Triple Crown.
Oh, yeah.
And the owners start talking. They start thinking, maybe we need a bigger name jockey for the Derby.
Absolutely. The weight of that defeat, plus all his other insecurities, it must have been immense. Nakano was sure he was going to be replaced.
But again, this is where trainer Kato steps in.
Stood by him, told him, we started this together, we finished it together. That loyalty, that was the last piece of the puzzle. It just lit this fire under Nakano. He was desperate for redemption heading into the biggest race in Japan.
So the stage is set. May 1990, Tokyo Racecourse for the Japanese Derby. This isn't just any race. This is the peak of Japan's bubble economy. The hype is just off the charts.
You really have to try and picture the atmosphere. The sheer volume of people it's staggering. Our sources confirm a record 196,517 fans were officially there.
Almost 200,000 people, packed into one venue, shoulder to shoulder, just buzzing.
It's electric. And in the middle of all that, Ines Fujin, even with his great record, goes off as the third favorite. You can only imagine the determination on Nakano's face.
And that determination led to a strategy that was, well, shockingly bold.
Reckless, almost. He just threw the conventional playbook right out. The moment the gates opened, he sent Ines Fujin straight to the lead. No waiting, no tactics, just go.
And why was that so shocking?
Because the Derby is 2,400 meters. That is the ultimate test of stamina. If you set too fast a pace early on, you hit a wall. You have nothing left for that final stretch.
Everyone must have been waiting for him to fade.
Everyone. The expectation was that the closers would just swallow him up in the home stretch.
But they didn't.
He never faded. He just kept going. Ines Fujin, fueled by Nakano's sheer will, just ran the race of his life. He held off every single challenger. They won. And they didn't just win. They did it in a new track record time.
An incredible victory. The underdog jockey, the powerful horse, they get their redemption in front of the biggest crowd in racing history. But the moment that changes everything comes right after he crosses the line.
Yes. The victory is confirmed, the record time is announced, and the crowd just, it erupts. But like we said at the top, they didn't shout the horse's name. That was the tradition.
Instead, you hear this thunderous, unified chant shaking the entire grandstand.
Nakano.
The Nakano call.
And you just cannot overstate the cultural significance of that. Before this day, fans were quiet. They were respectful observers there for the horse, for the bet. This moment, this spontaneous roar of a person's name, it shattered that tradition.
It's like the crowd collectively decided to rewrite the rules of fandom.
In an instant. It proved they weren't just invested in their betting tickets. They were invested in the human drama, in the comeback story, in the pure sport of it all. Racing in Japan became a spectacle of athletic heroes from that day forward.
And for Nakano himself?
Oh, it was everything. He said later that was the moment he finally truly felt accepted by the racing world. It was this massive validation, but it also gave every fan in Japan permission to be loud and passionate about the individuals, not just the race. It was a total psychological shift.
It sounds like just a perfect, flawless victory. But that kind of all-out effort, it always comes at a price.
A very heavy price. That race took everything out of Ines Fujin. He was completely exhausted. The sources even note that he stopped on his own right after the finish line. He had literally nothing left in the tank.
So even in that moment of euphoria, they knew he'd given more than he should have.
They did. He was given time off to recover, but he had these nagging leg problems that just wouldn't go away. It was all a result of the immense strain of that front-running Derby win.
So they had to make the tough call.
The only call, really. They retired him immediately. The 1990 Japanese Derby, the race that changed the sport, was his very last race. A brilliant but incredibly short career.
So he goes off to his second career at stud. How did that go for him?
It was solid, not legendary maybe. His bloodline wasn't the most fashionable at the time, and he didn't produce a long list of big-time classic winners.
But he did have one very notable success.
He absolutely did. He sired a mare named Fast Friend, and she became a sensation, but on the dirt tracks.
Right, she was a multi-time G1 winner on dirt.
Yeah, she was one of the best female dirt horses of her era in Japan. So the legacy was there, the power was passed down, just maybe not in the way people expected.
And it's kind of poetic that his own Derby record outlasted him in a way. He passed away in 2004, colic, at just 17.
And that Derby winning time he set in 1990. It stood on the books at Tokyo Racecourse for years and years. It was a monument.
It wasn't broken for a long time.
A very long time. It was finally tied in 1999 by a horse called Admire Mega, but it wasn't actually broken until 2004.
The same year he died.
The very same year. The horse that broke it was King Kamehameha. That detail it really underscores what an incredible physical feat he pulled off that day.
So when you put it all together, the struggling jockey, the risky strategy, the record win, the immediate retirement, it all comes back to that one sound, the one moment.
It does. Ines Fujin was the catalyst. He gave Eiji Nakano the redemption story he so desperately needed, and more than that, he inspired nearly 200,000 people to stand up and change the rules. He proved that horse racing could be more than just odds on a board. It could be a shared passion, a spectacle of courage. It changed Japanese racing forever.
A truly defining moment, fueled by a massive horse, a redeemed jockey, and a crowd that decided to find its voice. It's the kind of story that just transcends the sport itself.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more.